Hello, so in this video I wanted to make a little bit of M plus commentary since I have the raid ones pretty much all done except for Dimensius. So I thought, since people are asking me sometimes, why do you press surge into Evo into touch in M plus? Why do you do that? Maybe like walk you through how I'm popping offensive abilities, cooldowns, if I have time for them. Yeah, like how do I decide whether it's worth popping Surge on a trash pack or not? Yeah, I'm just gonna comment on every trash pack a little bit what I'm doing. But okay, it starts. I know this is not the highest key. This was done like a week ago, I think. Done like a week ago. This was pretty smooth. Also played it with some good people. It was a smooth key. I was like, why not? I think I performed well in this key. I'm going to make a video about it. But okay, let's start. So here you should usually press the mirrors before, but I think I did good. I did not. I was not lazy. And in this beginning of the pool, I am starting with a surge. So I'm skipping the evocation. Yeah, I'm skipping the evocation as the first ability in the burst, and I'm moving it after surge. So the rotation is essentially looks like surge, the beginning, evocation at around. I like pressing the evo around like the 11-10 second mark of the surge remaining. So when I see that my surge is on like 11 or 10 second remaining, I press the evo. You pressed here, I press the evo. Yep, and then you're just doing standard rotation until like 1 or 2 seconds remaining of surge. Yeah, it's kind of hard to time sometimes. Yeah, so you don't have to do it like perfectly or like 1 or 2 seconds, but at the end of the surge is when you should be pressing it. Yeah, so then you press touch, and then you're just doing your soul rotation. Yeah, doing your soul rotation, nothing interesting. Yeah, the idea is kind of to get the target to execute before you get your Arcane Soul, and when you're just barraging in your Arcane Soul, the target is in execute and you're doing 130% more barrage damage. That's the idea, but it's not really realizable in a lot of dungeons, in a lot of situations. So it depends on the comp, it depends on the key level, because if you try to do this in like a plus, I don't know, 13, the pack is gonna even die before you even get the soul, most likely. So it's very key specific. I did find that it worked pretty well on the Dawnbreaker last week on 17, so probably this week, since people got a lot of itemable again, probably something like 18. Yeah, so let me just walk you through the first pool again. So search, mirror image before, then just standard rotation, evocation right about now. Yeah, I'm just hovering, checking this. I get the Stygian seed cast, so I'm just going to alter this while I'm doing my rotation. Bam, alter back, missa, and then just start barraging the ritualist. Yeah, barrage, missile, barrage, missile. This is probably the best Arcane Mage dungeon as well with streets. So that helps a lot. The fact that I'm going to be topping the meters here, fucked on, which you would not see in any other dungeon. But yeah, so then I just do shifting power while doing my filler. That doesn't really need any explanation. It's the same shit as always. And then I'm just going to press the touch ASAP, so I get at least some value. And then we continue to the next trash pack, in which I will do this again. I will do this swapped surge again. And on this trash pack, it's actually going to work even better because my surge is coming up a little bit late. So here I just refresh tempo, and I'm just doing the filler rotation until my surge comes back up, yeah? Here I'm going to be kind of like swapping between both the commander and ritualist, because you don't want to pop the cooldowns on something that is... What am I doing here? Checking my score while I'm doing the rotation. So yeah, we start with surge here. Yeah, in just a second, we start with surge. Could have probably done it earlier if I wasn't checking my Rio for some reason on stream. Again, evocation at around the 10 seconds remaining of the surge while doing my rotation. And then I'm swapping to the ritualist, because if I popped my touch on the commander, he would die before the full touch / soul value. So here I'm just gonna swap the ritualist. Even though the commander would have been nice because it didn't execute, I don't think 250 million is that much, especially in last. Yeah, so the guy would have been fucking dead. Yeah, like 5 seconds into the Arcane Soul / touch on the Magi, yeah, which is not optimal. So I just swap to him. And my touch exploded for 40 million. You can see my damage as well is super high. And then I just continue with the rotation. Yeah. Here I'm not using shifting power. We'll see how I use it, but you just want to get the mini burn for the next trash bag because there's actually absolutely no way that you're about to get a burn. I would be getting a burn on this unless the pool is super slow, but we'll see. But I'll explain why I'm popping cooldowns here potentially, or why I'm not if I'm not doing it. So let's see. Yeah, so I did the mini burn, which is by itself kind of fucking useless anyway, so it's whatever. Just flow rotation. And actually, I think the health is quite fine for a big burn here. So I'm going to pop the Surge because this trash bag is dying, not dying at all. So 500, 600 milli is fine for a big burn. Yeah, for this thing. Yeah, you also have to be aware. You have to always check like whether your teammates have cooldowns or not. So here I see that the Franz breath is on like a 10-second cooldown, and I just saw that the Korea the Sharp is used PI like 30 seconds ago, which is usually what I track for their cooldowns. Yeah, I don't know Shadow Priest that much because they never fucking play with them, so they're not meta. But I think that's their major cooldown. If they pop PI, that means they're going into CDs. Here we just do the same thing. So as always, search Evo around the 10 and touch around 2 seconds remaining of the Arcane Search, and then we're just pressing barrages like crazy with missiles. Sadly, the Spider is not an execute. So again, we're not getting that much value from the Arcane Soul because I do think that the value of swapping the cooldowns around just comes from having the target and execute by the time you get the touch. If it's not the case, I just don't even feel like it's worth it that much, honestly. I don't feel like it's worth it. Yeah, personally, because the one disadvantage of the shit is that you completely desync your cooldowns. Yeah, like your cooldown. Like if you suddenly wanted to be like, yeah, I want to do my single target rotation. Yeah, which is Evo Search Touch. Yeah, the standard thing that you guys know. It would you would have to hold. You would have to sync them up back up again, which is quite annoying. Yeah. Yeah, okay, here it's prime. It's game time for search for a big burn again. Again, search, waiting a few seconds, then Evo, around 11, 10 second mark is my preferred. You can do 12 seconds as well, my opinion. Seekers, and then touch. Yeah, this was not the most optimal one because I barraged just before the soul, but whatever, it works. And then touch at 2 seconds of surge remaining. And that's essentially it. There's nothing to really worry about these on these trash packs. It's if you get the cocoon, just pop a ice cold or greater invis or just barrier it. Just make sure you have something, otherwise it will one-shot you in high keys and interrupt the Shadow Mage. There is nothing else on these trash packs. Yeah, to really explain. If someone has the decurs, you decurs if you can. Otherwise, you're just chilling. Yeah. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might either I'm going to skip the mini burn completely, sync it up with sync it up, but I didn't. I just pressed it. So the next time I will pop my cooldowns, I will have to sync them up completely. Yeah, meaning I have to wait. Quite annoying. You'll see it. Because the mishmash rotation, the surge into Evo is not what we're doing on single target, so you want to sync them up. And by syncing them up, you're actually like losing like a few seconds of the. I'm not using shifting power. Finally, good. Yeah, and even though I popped my shifting power late, yeah, like this would be considered kind of late what I'm popping here. It's actually fine because the touch is still on a 20-second cooldown and I have to wait to sync it up. So only now I can press evocation into surge. Boom. I dropped my tempo, whatever. Might you get the general idea of this rotation? Yeah. Nothing really to worry if you're looking for a commentary on specifically Dawnbreaker. Nothing to really worry about here. Just make sure that you bait the pools to the edges of the bait the pool to the edges of the ship, and make sure when there's an overlap, meaning burning shadows plus obsidian beam at the same time, that you have a personal up. I don't know, pop a mirror image with the prismatic barrier, for example. Yeah, if there's an overlap coming. You can see that there's AMZ dropped for this little overlap, so we just do it, and we're just pushing the boss. And that's essentially it for this one. I don't know why I didn't use shifting power. I probably could have just used it there and then went back, but it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Yeah, usually on this boss, you're just going to be getting 2 surges anyway, no more than that. So it quite literally doesn't matter. If you're a little bit greedy, I think you can get 3 if you pop your second surge just before she's about to phase at 50%. If you pop it at like 60% on a hierarchy, you can, I think, get 3 surges off. But that's very, very unlikely. Yeah, most of the time it's just going to be 2. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, you cannot blink over these beams. So if you're wondering, if you're not familiar with Dawnbreaker, you cannot blink over these beams. So you have to do the mechanic as same as everyone else. And then just proceeding with rotation. Nothing really interesting here, so I'm just going to fast forward by like 30 seconds. Yeah, let's see what happens here. Again, fast forward. Obviously, I'm not going to be popping surge when the boss is on 300 milli. I would be considering the surge if she was on like 500, 600 million. 500 million probably I would still be popping, but definitely not this low. Yeah. So yeah, we just go here in front of the church. Yeah. And here I'm not sure. Either I'm going to revert to the normal rotation because I forget, and I don't think it's worth doing in this specific group because it just doesn't get into execute ever. Yeah, and I'm reverting to the old one because it just doesn't ever get to execute when I need to. So yeah, here you should be focusing either the tactician or I don't think the shadows do anything anymore. So it's just the tactician because he demolishes the tank. So do that. And here I'm just doing standard evocation missile surge into barrage touch. And then in Arcane Soul, barrage missile, barrage missile, while making sure that I end the surge last GCD on a Arcane barrage, yeah. The shifting power right after the Arcane surge. Yeah, nothing really to worry about on this trash bag. You just have frontals, blink, and you just have these little purple circles on the floor, which actually bug out back in. So if there's any form of elevation, they bug out and they don't really display where they're gonna drop. So always make sure that you're on a flat surface like this, or just every time that you see any form of black hail, you just move out. Yeah, so it's just frontals, one interrupt, and black hail. That's it. Nothing else on this trash bag. If you're still wondering, maybe you want some Dawnbreaker commentary. Yeah. Yeah, so then this trash bag is dying, and we are going, I think, into the church. My tank died, but it's okay. The trash pack is dead, so he's just gonna release. As you can see, Prot Paladin is not it, guys. It is not it. Not it. Prot Paladin is not meta. Very, very fucking squishy. So yeah, we just pull the church. Nothing really important happening on this mob. I think this is pretty much like I'm just going to do a standard rotation, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing really happening on this mob except that this mob will target you with Abyssal Blast. Abyssal Blast, which is just a huge dot. And if you do get it, you have to pop a defensive. So I don't know if I'm gonna even pop something on the first one. I just pop Ice Cold because I don't want to spend a global on a defensive in my search. You could probably just alter it, honestly. But if you get targeted way too many times in a row, like 4 times, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah. The first one I Ice Cold, there's nothing else on this trash pack. Yeah, just doing standard rotation. And if I get targeted again, which I did not get targeted, so I'm just doing standard rotation, blast missile, blast barrage, standard bullshit. Trying to insert the Arcane Orb as well sometimes, yeah, for the extra barrage, but that's just like a little min-max. Yeah, and just doing some standard rotation. And I should not be popping second surge here. Yeah, the mob will be like 100 million by then, and it's not worth it. So here we will be saving surge for the next trash pack, whatever the next trash pack is. Yeah, we can just fast forward. Nothing really interesting happening here. Just fast forward a little bit to the hero last trash pack. So then we make our way to the bridge. Yeah, this is the last pull. This pull hurts a lot because if you get an overlap, meaning you get the Abyssal Blast plus the Orb Explosion at the same time, you're kind of fucked. Yeah, so interrupts here as well, doing standard rotation. Just kind of decided it's not worth it since they never reach execute. Yeah, so I was just like, okay, might as well just revert to the autopilot. There's an Orb incoming, and I do not have the Abyssal Blast, so I don't have to worry at all. If I did have Abyssal Blast as well while the orb is exploding, I would have probably popped, what's it called? Like a Greater Invis or something. So now I get actually one. Let's see what I do, frankly. I get AMZ. Okay, that's good. And I'm just not popping anything. I don't feel like I have the need to. Yeah, I did press, I think, Prismatic Barrier, but that's pretty much about it. Then a Mass Barrier, we also the Fear. So it's a bit of an overkill with the defensives. And then again, yeah, I'm checking if I get the Abyssal Blast, if I'm targeted by it. If not, I'm chilling. If yes, then I would probably pop Ice Cold just before the orb explodes, yeah? Because that's the overlap you care about. You don't care about the dot. You can just kind of alter it or Prismatic Barrier it. But the moment that you get an overlap, you should be worried, yeah? And then we're just finishing them up. The Fran gets again the Abyssal Blast, so I think I only had one on this trash pack. And then we're continuing. Yeah, so it's basically one search per pack, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, avoid the orb. If you soak the orb, you're pretty much fucking dead, so careful. And the orb does not explode when the miniboss dies. Yeah, then we go to the house. That's the last miniboss, and then boss time. Actually, there's a few more pulls between that. Forgot about this route. So this does nothing. It's just one frontal, if I'm not mistaken, and the beams coming from the ritualist. And here I tried to gamble a little bit. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do Surge into Evo again. So here I just start with Surge. First mirror images, of course, in case you get aggro and for the DR. Yeah, I always start the pull with mirror images if you're about to pop Surge or something. Yeah, there's no reason to, especially if it's like a pull which is damaging you, which has a, like Stygian Seed and Beam here. So we just proceed with the standard rotation. Yeah, bread and butter rotation. Then we're going to go into touch. Yeah, and again, as you can see, the target is not in execute. Maybe I can squeeze out like 2 barrages in execute, which is still value, but yeah, like you can see how my touch here jumped, right? Like look at this, yeah. Get a touch damage. Yeah, it's like at 12 million now. Then it goes to 13, 14. Okay, then I did a barrage. 17. Okay, then I did another barrage. And then it went to 30. From 18 million to 30. Yeah, just because the target was in execute, it probably critted. I didn't track it. I had harmony stacks, all of it. Yeah, but imagine if the target was in execute the whole time. Yeah, that would have been even bigger. So that's kind of the idea, that you want to get like a 50 million touch with this little tech. Yeah, like with this little search into Evo. You want to get like a 50 million touch in the Magi, but obviously if the pack or the prior mob that you're targeting is not getting into execute, you're not going to be getting any value. So like I said, on the trash pack, there's nothing happening for DPS players, just the frontals and a little bit of the damage from the ritualist. But going back to the rotation, you should be really careful because you always have to be checking the HP of the mobs by the time you press the touch, because you're not really committing like any. You can freely swap while you're in the search and while you're doing the evocation. It's just that you locked into a target once you press the touch. So always evaluate, like, okay, just before you press the touch, can I press it here without the mob dying in 5 seconds? Yeah, that's kind of the idea. Yeah, and you also are looking for a mob which is not necessarily in the execute by the time you press the touch, but would be in execute within like the next 2 seconds. Yeah, for example. So. And here we're going to be doing it again, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Again, Evo here. I don't know if I'm going to refresh tempo. I did. Kind of sucks because I drop Arcane charges, but what can you do? And I did pop the touch here a bit earlier. Not sure why, but whatever. Always press it at the like 2 seconds remaining of the search, yeah, if possible. I think that's I found to be the best. Yeah, 2 seconds is good. You can do 3 as well, like I did here. But as you can see, let's see actually. Yeah, the touch explodes. Yeah, because I popped the touch at like 3 or 4 seconds of the surge remaining. The touch explodes before my Arcane Soul ends, which is not optimal. Yeah, like it's not optimal. Yeah, like where did I press the touch here exactly? Let's see. At what second remaining of the surge? I think it was like 3 or even more actually. It was 4. Yeah, so do not pop at 4. Pop at like 2. That's the magic number. Yeah, 2 seconds remaining on surge is the magic number. Yeah, and it's just standard rotation. Probably gonna shifting power at some point. Maybe I'll get a mini burn in. Maybe not. I will not worry about the mini burn this much season. It doesn't do any fucking damage. It's so useless. The mini burn is literally just cosmetic because all it does is like, it's like, yeah, like let's see how much the mini burn will go to here. It will not go higher than like 15 mil, even if the target is in execute. Yeah, it's at 7 million now. It's at 8 million now. It's really whatever. Not saying it's like completely useless, but like 10 million damage touch is like, who cares? Yeah, like we live for the 50, 60 millions. Yeah, with the surge into evocation. Yeah, that's my follow alert on stream. Okay, now we get to this trash bag. I'm not sure which rotation I'll be doing here. Yeah, since I'm still doing the reverse one. Yeah, kind of at some points I was just doing it like feely crafting, like how I felt like, like whatever I felt like doing. But on the single target bosses or on bosses, you have to go to the single target rotation. Yeah, unless there's like insane amount of funnel on the boss where you could maybe get away with doing this, but none of the bosses here have insane funnel, so you have to revert to single target rotation there. Yeah, but as you can see, because the target is not in execute, my touch only reached like 22 million. So again, not the best. Yeah, when the target is not in execute, and then we're just doing standard damage. If you're wondering what is happening on this trash pack, Abyssal Blast again. Not every mini boss has that, but there's a different sort of overlap. So like the Orb one had Abyssal Blast plus the Orb. This one has Abyssal Blast plus Shadowy DK. As you can see, I do have that overlap, yeah. This might actually be a little bit of a panic angle with my defensives, but it isn't. Yeah, I just pressed Ice Cold, Summer during the Abyssal Blast, and then I just basically got healed for the rest of it, yeah. Then I get second Abyssal Blast, which is sus. Fuck. Yeah, but there's no overlap happening, so there's really zero reason to panic. I just mirror image to get a little bit of DR on it. And if I did get another one with the overlap, I would probably just greater invis. Do not greater invis the cast, because if you greater invis the cast, you're just going to retarget, which is not something you want. Just greater invis once you have the dot. Yeah, so I do get one. I don't know what I do here. I don't remember. Maybe nothing, because I still have mirrors running. And mirrors should be enough to just protect you from this little dot. It's only overlap where you should be panicking. But yeah, that's the pack. There's frontals, and then there's overlap that you have to watch out for. If you get an overlap, press Ice Cold or Greater Invis, or arrow like Mirror Image and Barrier, yeah. So then we go to the boss, I think. And we're just going to be bossing, yeah. Yeah, here I'm going to revert to the standard single target rotation. Pretty much from now on, it's just single target evocation into search. I am not popping. I'm not doing the weird one. Yeah, search into evo. Yeah, because there's no trash packs after this. There's like the mini boss with like few mobs, but that's pretty much it. And then another boss. Yeah, so here Yeah, if you're wondering again, a little bit of Dawnbreaker commentary instead of the rotation. If you're wondering, it's just Dark Orb you have to put into line on the road. Yeah, that's it. And shadowy DK, you can press a barrier or whatever, but it doesn't really hurt unless it's an overlap. The only thing you have to worry about this boss is interrupt the little ads or stop them, and overlap of shadowy DK slash Dark Orb. Yeah, I think it's every third orb that the overlap happens, or fourth. I honestly forgot. Yeah, shadowy DK, no need to panic here because maybe I'll just press a prismatic barrier and that should be enough for just that itself. And then just proceed with rotation, Dark Orb happening. Yeah, I think it's every fourth that the overlap is happening. Animate shadows. You know, you can't really pad on those ads in any way. You could maybe try lining up your cooldowns for them, but I don't know how. Yeah, so I just pretty much do 1 to 3 autopilot, no delaying, just press Mickey Mouse rotation, yeah. Yeah, it does line up a little bit, but not really. Yeah, for like a few seconds of the surge, which is not really much. But yeah, this is the overlap. So Orb into Shadowy Decay. You can see there's an AMZ into Zephyr. Forgy followed me. Yeah, at this point. Another follow alert, sorry for that. I do not have them disabled on VOD. And then just shifting power into Blast. Blast. Yeah, standard single target rotation, which I don't even think needs commenting. You guys should know this by then. If you don't, just watch the video how I do it. Yeah. Don't take everything as a Bible, like, you know, like he's doing this way. I should be doing it as well this way. I do make mistakes, yeah, like I do. Yeah, so not everything that I do is optimal. Yeah, and again, Shadow DK, you can just press Alter on it as well. You can press just prismatic barrier, you're gonna be fine. Dark Orb in like 17s, 18s, I don't think they one-shot since as mages. As mages, we are stacking versatility. So they should not hurt at all. It's just the overlap that you're worried about here, and potentially getting casted on by the animated shadows, yeah. While there's an orb exploding, yeah. Yeah, so here I greater invis because I think there was an interrupt going off on me. But I wasn't sure. But just for safety, because the boss is also nearly dead. Yeah. The soul kind of did line up nicely for this, but could have been better. And just finishing the boss. Afterwards, we're going to be flying to the ship here, up here. And that's just the last trash pack of the dungeon. And then we have Rashanan, which is another single target boss. Yeah, but you can see that on the meters it's working quite well. I know that Shadow Priest is like not meta, so, you know, you might be like, well, playing with Shadow Priest, that's not fair. Yeah, it's not meta, but I still think my damage was quite high in this Dawnbreaker just because I was trying to optimize around the execute, even though it was not really like I did not really get to do it that much. It was very apparent how strong it is in my opinion on the second pull when there's like a last the target was in execute if I'm not mistaken during the touch. So yeah, but this is a standard rotation. Probably going to shifting power at some point here unless I forget. Shifting power here, evocation, surge into touch. Okay, I extended my tempo before that, and then just standard rotation. Nothing really important, yeah, but I'll just keep playing the video so you guys maybe want to see how I handle this trash pack. If you're wondering what is dangerous on this trash pack, it's just the Architect Beam, which will always target you. Either the first or second set, I think, always targets you if you didn't get the first one. Just pop Alter for that. Or pop, I don't know, like Ice Cold if you want. Mirror images if you want, whatever. Yeah, there's a decurse happening on this trash pack still. So you want to make sure that you decurse because there's shadow mages present. Yeah. Blasting, blasting. Another follow alert. And that's pretty much it. The mini boss is dead, and then we're just going into the boss, which is just standard single target rotation, but I'll keep playing it in case you guys want to see. Nothing really important happening on this boss. Yeah, just rolling acid doesn't one shot, so just move to the side with it. Press the prismatic barrier if you're nervous. That's it. Yeah, and just deliver the bombs. Yeah, you guys know this dungeon like 100%. You do know this dungeon, so evocation into missile, into search, into barrage touch, and then just blast missile and barraging whenever the Vikora tells me on GI or intuition or when tempo is dropping off, and just blasting and missiling in between. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. Then once Arcane Soul is coming, yeah, you want to actually chain missiles if you have one missile available into Arcane Soul. For like a smooth transition into the Arcane Soul, yeah. Because if you're casting on Arcane Blast and in the middle of the Arcane Blast you get the Arcane Soul, it's kind of awkward, right? But with the missiles, all of that is eliminated because with missiles you just you can clip them right mid soul, or you can finish them up fully if that's how it lines up. So yeah, missiles press them going into soul. And then just standard rotation. Boss is gonna phase. I'm not going to show you my flying, so I'm just going to fly there straight up. I'm going to show you. Boom. Going to fast forward a little bit, and the boss should be coming down here now. Evo missile, hero surge barrage touch, blast missile. I'm getting PI here, which I think is not the best thing ever because I think your GCDs end sooner than like the cast is faster than GCD, the Arcane Blast cast, which is kind of shit. Yeah, like the whole rotation just feels laggy with Lust and PI at the same time. It's a bit weird, so I don't think Arcane Mage PI is it, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Yeah, just not much happening here. Just once he does the acid thing, just make sure you pop a defensive. Unless your healer is crazy, then you don't have to pop a defensive for the dot. Yeah, move out with the these waves. And if you do get the web, what I like to do to save space, I just alter, drop down. Yeah, I drop the shit there, alter back up, and now you have much more space. Yeah. And you can obviously only do this with alter because if you jump down, then you would have to run up the stairs, which is not what you want to be doing. Down the rotation, not clipping Aether Attunement. Evocation, Missile, Surge, Barrage, Touch. Not much important happening here. It is really just the... Yeah, I don't have alter time here, so I cannot do the tech. But not much important happening here, so I cannot do the... you know, like... It's just all about the search into Evo that I really wanted to talk about to guys, show you. I will put a little bit of a disclaimer at the end of the video or a little bit of wording or explanation after this boss dies. Maybe some of you want to watch the boss, but yeah. As boss sucks a little bit for Magus because there's no execute on him obviously, so you don't get to abuse the Fury execution and bombardment, sadly, but do. Another PI, kind of whatever, yeah. We should be able to get one more surge off on him, and this boss just uninteresting. Not much to talk about. Okay, I'm just gonna talk about the search now. So with the tech, yeah, I don't feel like it's worth doing on any of the lower keys. I think it's completely worthless to do it on you know, like a plus 12 or whatever. I don't even think you can do it there. I think it is worth doing in, for example, in Dawnbreaker, especially before the first boss, as you saw, it just lined up pretty well on 17. It lined up even better on an 18 when I was trying, but I was not really doing keys much this week. I'm busy, but it was lining up pretty well. So if you want to try it, do it. Yeah. But it is very dependent on the comp you're doing, because if you have another prior target, DPS like Havoc or something else, yeah, which does prior damage, I don't think you're gonna be having fun with doing it. Let me just put it like that. I don't think you are going to be having fun with the you know, the reverse rotation, because the proud target will die like 1 second into your touch, which is not optimal. So very dependent on key level, very dependent on comp, very dependent on whether your teammates have cooldowns or not. And on top of that, you desync your cooldowns. So consider carefully whether you want to do this or not. I do think the value is there if you can consistently get to target to execute. And if you don't by the time you get to touch, and if you don't panic when the mob, or like if you don't panic when you have decent cooldowns, yeah, as long as you don't panic, I think it's fine. If you can sync them up on bosses, and as long as you can get the targets to execute, yeah, because I just don't feel the value is there if you do this. And by the time you get to touch, the mob is still like 60%, yeah. If the mob gets to execute mid-touch of the Magi, it's still fine. But if not at all, I just don't think it's worth it. So consider carefully how you're doing this. But I do think there's some value in there. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. I might be streaming some keys. Not sure, because need to prepare on Dimensius still. And I'll have a lot of coaching, but we'll see. But thank you very much, guys, for watching the video. I will be uploading the Dimensius guide once that obviously dies in like a few days, the commentary. If you haven't checked my previous guides, if you're struggling with some bosses, make sure to check them out. I have like a commentary / guide for every single one of the bosses, with the most recent one being Nexus King. So if you need help, just check those out. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.